and holding the AV button and using the dial, or I can just simply press the Q button and move it with my fingers utilizing the camera's touchscreen features. So the next feature I'd like to talk about is using the camera's auto focus point selection. You can either use all of your focusing points or choose a single focusing point. You can also use your LCD screen to simply touch the point you want in focus, or you can use this looking through the camera's viewfinder as well. Once you've chosen the focusing point that you'd like in your photograph, you can then choose your focusing method. There are 3 different methods of autofocus. The first one is one shot, which is very good for focusing on a certain point by pressing your shutter button halfway down, then recomposing the photograph. The next focusing method is servo, which is very good for tracking moving subjects. Say for example, if I'm holding down the shutter and an object is moving, the camera will constantly update its focus to track that subject. And the third is actually a hybrid of both of those settings. AI focus, the camera will actually determine whether the subject is stationary or moving, and will determine the best method of focus in the situation. Also featured on the back of the LCD screen is the different shooting settings. For example, you can change the camera between a single shot, continuous shooting, silent shooting, multiple continuous silent shooting, 10-second self-timer, 2-second self-timer, and also a customizable self-timer. Sometimes you might notice some of your photographs don't quite look like they have the right color, but you can actually override this in the white balance settings. As an example, go to the menu options in the camera, press set, scroll across to option number 3 and down to white balance. You can change between auto, daylight, shade, cloudy, tungsten, fluorescent, flash, and customizable. As a practical example, if I show you the 7000 kelvins option, that will warm up the photographs to make the shade look nice and warm. In live view, if you see that, this is what it looks like. Alternatively, when I change that now into, say, tungsten, what you'll find is the Kelvin rating is 3200. It's much lower, and what that will look like in live view is much bluer. Very good for indoor settings where you're using tungsten lighting. It's very much about matching the lighting environment to the correct white balance setting. Also located in the menu options is your picture styles. Simply scroll across to option number 4 and you'll find picture style as the first option. You can scroll between the automatic setting, standard, portrait, landscape, fine detail, neutral, faithful, and monochrome. As a practical example, if I press set here and go into live view, what you'll see is the photograph has turned to a black and white. One of the best things about photographing with an LCD screen is using the live view feature. If you press the point in the screen where you want the focus to be set, the camera will focus at that point. Another benefit of shooting with the LCD screen on is zooming in and checking your focus. So if you wanted to focus on a different point within your photograph, use the magnifying tool to zoom in and scroll around and check that you've got the point and focus that you want. The camera also does a truly impressive video mode as well. By using the on-off switch and scroll is zoomed at that point. Screen with LCD screen, at here, neutral, faithful, entered, put the first option. Okay, if I to a live view white. If you press the photographing with an photograph has turned to a black and white. One of the best things about photographing with an LCD screen is using the live view feature. If you press the point in the screen where you want the focus to be set, the camera will focus at that point. Another benefit of shooting with the LCD screen on is zooming in and checking your focus. So if you wanted to focus on a different point within your photograph, use the magnifying tool to zoom in and scroll around and check that you've got the point and focus that you want. The camera also does a truly impressive video mode as well. By using the on-off switch, you can turn it to the left to activate your video mode. You'll notice that there is a red button here on the live view, and that's where you will start recording the video. Press that button again to stop recording. In the video mode, the camera also features a time-lapse mode, where you can press the menu button, red shooting option, time-lapse, movie, enable. The options you have here of changing the interval time, hours, minutes, and seconds. The interval is the pause between the photo being released. I can change that by using the dial up and down. and I can also change the number of shots. Say for example, 350 frames in my time lapse will give me 14 seconds of playback. Moving from the number of shots down to the auto exposure, you'll find the fixed first frame will mean that your exposure remains constant from the first frame to the last frame in your video sequence. However, if you're photographing a sunset or something where the lighting is changing, you might try changing to each frame, which means that the camera will re-evaluate its exposure for each frame. The camera also features raw shooting. You can change the resolution of the file that you're shooting by simply pressing the menu option and set and scrolling through between the different compression applications. If ever you find the camera's not quite doing what you want it to, or you might have activated a feature or a function that you're not sure about, you can always go into the menu option across the function settings and reset the factory functions here. I hope this has helped you get a little bit more out of using your EOS 200D. Thanks for watching the video. See you again soon.
You did order the large, but you sent it back anyway, so... Can't come in? Yeah, I'll cover for you.
Up and the background is trailing out of focus. Ready? Be sure to follow the link and check out the basic features to learn more about the EOS 200D. In this video, I'm going to show you some of the more advanced features and show you some hints and tips to help you get more out of your EOS 200D. So let's get started. The EOS 200D features a guided display mode, which will help take you through some of the camera settings, such as whether to make your photograph brighter or darker. The TV mode or time value helps you with things such as your shutter speed, whether you want to slow the movement or you want to freeze the moment in time. The AV mode or aperture value will actually change the aperture in your lens and calculate the amount of blur you want in your photograph. For example, in live view, if I'm at f5 and focus on your lens, the AV mode or dark, I'll take you to them, check out the features and show 200D features and tips to help you get more out of your EOS 200D. So let's get started. The EOS 200D features a guided display mode, which will help take you through some of the camera settings, such as whether to make your photograph brighter or darker. The TV mode or time value helps you with things such as your shutter speed, whether you want to slow the movement or you want to freeze the moment in time. The AV mode or aperture value will actually change the aperture in your lens and calculate the amount of blur you want in your photograph.